So hope you have practiced the previous sessions. Then we are going to start with Wood's concepts today. And if we have not done so far, whatever the examples and topics which we covered earlier, and it's better, you start now. So this object-oriented concepts in any programming, it is very important. Not just a C, Java. It's like irrespective of Python, whatever. In every programming language, the object-oriented concepts are very, very, very high. The importance, and in interview process, people are going to always ask about, and then they plan about, right? So let's focus clearly on this and try to practice 100% examples. Before we step in, we try to understand all these the topics that are covered in object-oriented concepts. Mainly we work with objects, but those objects are basically created from classes. So in this mainly we are going to understand what is a class, what is object, okay, and then what is the instance, what is a polymorphism, what is abstraction, what is encapsulation. We are going to understand all the topics. So before we get into the programming, we try to understand the core importance of the mainly what is how this the concepts are basically created, and then the advantage and what is the meaning of that. So let's understand the concept of class and object in detail, and because this is the first topic in object-oriented concepts where it is really carries along with all the concepts. So just on high level, we need to understand and think about what is the class and what is the objects, right? So if I go here to a simple example, so imagine everybody construct a house, like before constructing a house, people come with thinking about a class, right? Thinking about a plan, engineering plan. So this particular plan or idea, that whatever the intention, that is called a class, a representation, that kind of a blueprint, engineering skeleton, that how the house looks like and what is required, what is mandatory, all that. That planning and the particular thing is very important. So it's very important in order to make the output matching towards our plan, right? So this plan is going to, once this plan is filled and developed, that becomes a real reality of our idea, right? So here in this case, this plan itself is a class, and the end result of that particular plan is an object. So that is how the class and objects works together, right?
Dear, it does. Actually, there's some technical issues. We'll come back just 2 minutes.
Okay, I think the call got dropped. I'm coming back. Um, Share the screen again. So here, as we discussed, mainly the structure of the call looks like a class, and then the objective of the class is basically the final output, and the once you construct that skeleton, the plan into real, those are the objects. So we'll look at the some examples of that, and then we can able to understand. Before we step into the class example, we try to understand what is the encapsulation. Okay, so in this encapsulation mainly, it's all about protecting, like hiding the important information where we don't want to, basically open to the public all the important stuff that we handle, right? So in a high level, just think that encapsulation is all about, for example, look at the capsule here. Encapsulation means is basically trying to protect the real recipe, right? Insights. So encapsulation is all about an operating system and in OOPS concepts. It is trying to secure the idea, secure the process which are belongs to a particular process, so that when there are more than one, they are not going to see each other, and there will not be any security threat. So how does it work basically? For example, if you take another example here, when you see flight in the, when it is in the airport, then you can able to see all of its properties, like whether the is it belongs to Air India or some other aircraft, and how it looks like, all that. Um, when you are in airport, right? If you are somewhere else, you can't able to visualize this. So similarly, the person or whoever have access to a particular class and object, they can able to see that class name, and the person who is inside, like once you can able to go inside, if you have access, then you can see what is inside. Okay, but when it goes to operating system, similarly the way the flights are in sky, right? Where the flights are basically flies, and they are in sky, and they are going in different threads to isolate and not to collide and not to damage each other. Similarly, the flights, so same thing in operating system, we have threads that is called multi-threading operation. And each class, when you create object, it is going to be like a flight. So the object is like a flight, right? So from the airport, it goes to a sky, and it is going to go in a particular route. Similarly, in operating system, class, once the minute you create a class object from the class, the object will be moving in the operating system in a particular direction with the thread ID. So it will not deviate from thread ID, so that it is not going to disturb other threads. Similarly, in the sky, how the flights are going, right? So same way in operating system, the objects will going around. Okay. So technically, I want to show you like how the class looks like. There is examples here. Then we can also think about other topics. So if you notice here, this is the particular class called my class. Okay. So that can be defined as set and get value. So set means these are the properties given to this. So set means you are basically adding the value, you are storing the value when you have the value. Get means you are reading the value, right? So it's like a bank account. When you have money, you are going to deposit. That is a set. When you are withdrawing money from the ATM or a bank, that is a get. Similarly, in an operating system, when you deal with the classes, so once you create a class, so they are going to basically, the class will be created, and then you are going to set the, and then later you can also get the value. Here we are setting the values like one value for this one is for class A is 10, other one is for 100. When you want to get, then we have written a print statement inside this class, so this will be printed. Okay, so how do you create the class? You're going to have a class name space. The class is the keyword, and class name is the name of that particular class in bracket. You can able to make inputs parameters that we will learn more in detail. Then how do you create object from a class? The minute when you say a particular variable equals to the class name in the brackets, then this is the class which will be converted as an object. Now we have an object called A. So whatever the definition of the class that we have here will be available in this particular format. Similarly, B will be acting as a class B. So this particular class will be created as object B. So we create, from same class we have created two objects. And for object 1 we set one value, for object 2 we set another value. Then now we are going to read the values, right? So we'll also talk about the constructor later. So let's understand with one more example how this class looks like and attributes. So this is a class name called your class, and a variable with the default we are setting as a 10. And there is a set value like, setting a value of 100 here. Okay. So now the minute I told you, right, when you say a variable equals to class name, then you are going to get that object out. So when you call that object, so when you say that dd dot class C, so this is going to be printed technically. So there is no print statement here. If you want to print, you can also do that. If you print, then you are going to get printed 10. But if you say dd dot set value, then what is happening here? The minute you call this particular property, by default we are setting to 100. So this time when you basically print this dd dot class, then this will be printing instead of 10 it is going to print 100. Okay, so once you start practicing these examples little bit, like class and object definition, you will understand. Anyway, there are more examples in the system, in the workshop. Just trying to check. Okay. So good to see that, most of you got into these levels, and some people are already at the highest. Some are here, some are here, some are here. So good job. So I see that is a good progress. Only that very few are left here. Is to try to spend some time. If you have any difficulty, talk to us. Otherwise, go to this place. So mainly, we came here to understand, how these classes works. So here there should be like class and object. For example, there is a lesson. You can able to go and practice this, and then there is OOPS concepts, and we are going to add a few more OOPS concepts. And at the same time, all of the examples here can be practiced. For example, if you have some labs here with the class and object, right? Let's go and try this particular example, how to create a class, and then how to use that class to create an object. So what is the understanding here? So we created a class, and the class name is my class, and we have a defined one set value, one get value. So initially we created one class, right, which is a equal to my class. Then we are going to set the. You can also do this like so. This I created a class A. I mean one of the class, and then I set this value, and I want to get this value, right? So then I created another class and I set it to 100. Now I am saying get value. So what happens here? So same thing. Like if I say 100 here, okay, 200 here, then my values will change. So if I want to print, like do a sum of two numbers from this, outputs, then what should I do? I can say print. Okay. So a dot get value plus b dot get value. So what is happening here? So we need to do conversion of this. So imagine if I comment this out and comment this out. So we have 100 printed first time because of we are calling this, and finally if I don't want to print here, then see what happens. Okay, since I'm printing there, that is why this thing you are getting 100, 200 as well as 300. You understood, right? Like so whenever I call a get value, it is getting printed. Also, I'm doing the sum of two of those. So now what happens? Only I get the 300 because I'm not printing here. Okay, generally you should not print inside these values, right? It should be printed here. For example, if I want to print this value, then I would print. Even I can write text like first value from first class. Similarly, I can do the same thing here. Value from setting class. Here also I can do this like two values. Yeah, I forgot to this. Right? So this is line number 12. What is it? Yeah. So my mistake once again. So here, so we need to basically remove this because I'm trying to concatenate integer to the string. So now, so mainly this is a string and this is the integer, so it is not trying to concatenate. So I want to convert that to string. Okay, so let's go to do that again. Yeah, so technically, so you can use double quotes or single quotes, doesn't matter. Only thing is like when you are reading, integer values to integer values, then it's no issues. But when you are trying to read string to integer and try to concatenate together, then you have to do the typecasting. This is called typecasting here. So anyway, so I'm going to put this for you in this labs file, then you can practice it later. So instead of whatever we have, I'm going to put this, the updated one. Okay, so that is a basic class, and let me explain back here. So we created a class. So from here, the class is created. Also carefully notice the indentation. So class, this is the keyword which must be used to create a class, and the class name. Okay, and in bracket you can send the parameters, then colon. So next you are going to use a definition. So definition space set value. Here definition space get value. So when you say get value, you don't need to pass anything. You directly can take this from this object. You can get the value. But when you say get set value, this is the object name, and also you are going to pass the value, which is this one, right? this value will go here and it will store into that particular self object. Okay, self means who is a self here? Self means the class. Next, you are here. What are you doing here? You are basically representing this particular class. And the minute you say A equals to class name, it is going to create the object for you. When you create object, that means now you have access to all the properties which are there. So now A dot, that particular, the minute you say set value, it will get, it is going to call this and store the value. Then when you say A dot get value, then it is going to retrieve the value. So that is how we do this. So going back to the next topic, which is inheritance. So the term inheritance itself is going to say that it is mainly talking about borrowing, right? Whether you are basically taking a loan or you are trying to borrow from others, or you're trying to partially borrow and partially you can use your resources to achieve something. So in the typical scenario, like the way we carry out from parents and grandparents, those are kind of inheriting, right? So that's the basic meaning of it. So let's see like how this object-oriented concept is going to work with the inheritance concept. We'll talk about that examples, a bit. Let me show you. So before we go to the polymorphism, I want to talk about the inheritance here with the examples. Let's see. Let's find on examples. So here is the inheritance, and let's go and use this example here. So let's understand this clearly. So what is inheritance and how did it work and all that. Okay. So here there is a two classes. One is date, other one is time, right? So let's say dt equals to date. That is what, or like I'm creating a object of that particular class, right? This Then I am calling a particular a property here, right? So the class one is mainly created itself, but class two is created by depending on class one. So if you notice here we are saying object, that is a generic. We are not defining which object, what is the definition of it. But in class 2, we are clearly explaining and stating that it is not a dummy. There is a class which already exists with this name. Go and find it, right? So this is now representing this particular class. So here, the minute you say class name and get date, by default it is returning this. You can also do a get and set. You can set the value first and get the value later. But here we are trying to So create another class by giving this particular date as an input, right? So, and then inside that there is a function called definition. So the minute you say definition, you are going to create either function or a parameter. Remember that. So you are defining one more thing called get time. So here we are basically providing some time. So now this like you can set any variable equals to some particular class, then you are going to get the object created into this particular variable. Then object dot get date. So it is going to be printed this. Next one, now you are creating object for time. That is like this particular variable equals to this one. That means object is created. Then when you say tm dot get time, what happens here? So it is going to run this. So it is going to run this and print. And when you say tm dot get date, then what you get, you are going to get this. But here one thing you should understand is, in this particular time object, there is no get date, right? We don't have such a method or property here. So, but when you say tm dot get date, how this can go here and call this is because we are inheriting this into time. We are inheriting the date into time. That means now this time has access to this particular class. It has both classes. This has a time class. This also have date class because we have inherited, right? So going back to this one, so technically here what happens? We printed the get date, so we got the get date here, and there is a line that we attached that we are not line. Here we got time as object, so then it is printed. Then we have this one got printed, right? So that is how this thing is basically just created here. So you understood, right? This particular object got this access to get date because of this date is got inherited into time. Okay. So other, if you don't inherit, then for example, if I say here object instead of saying date, right? Then see what happens. It is going to say that get date is not available. This get date is not accessible here. So that's why the minute you say date into this particular thing, then the previous class into this class, so it got inherited. Now it can able to access all the methods. As simple as that, right? Okay, that's one example. So likewise, there will be more examples that you can also plan and run. Yeah, there is one more examples here which you can able to run and test it. That is the inheritance. Let's go to polymorphism. So in polymorphism, mainly poly means many. Okay, just keep that in mind. Poly means many. So what is that many? How does it work? So imagine a particular character, right? A father in the house. Yeah. So he can act. He has multiple characters. One is he can work as a family person, family man, and as a father. He can also he's also working as uh, a purchaser at the grocery shop, and he is also working as a office employee. He's also working as a sales representative. So many characteristics. So similarly, this polymorphism in our object-oriented concepts is mainly representing a multi-character type, right? So what do you mean by that? So before we get into understand the multi-character, we need to understand how what are the types of polymorphism. So the polymorphism has two types. One is overloading and other one is overriding. So overloading is mainly happens in the compile time. Overriding happens in runtime. Okay. So this is the regular one. This is the overloading type. So in regular, what are we doing here? So we are creating a two classes, which is one is a square, other one is triangle. So we are trying to figure out the area. Okay. So here what we do, we have created a method called calculate area for a square. Here we created another method called calculate area for triangle. So and here that the way that we calculate is different than here we calculate differently. So we created a class and initiated the square and initiated the triangle. We are basically calling these classes separately to find out the square and triangle. Here, if you notice, mainly the ultimate goal of this polymorphism is we try to make the meaning same. The method names keep the names same, so and use it for different purpose. Okay. So instead of saying like calculate area underscore square, calculate area triangle, here we are simply saying that calculate area, no matter whether you are calculating square or calculating triangle, right? So here we are basically coming back with side into side. Here we are saying some extra number into side into side. I mean base into height, right? So this way, this is calculating triangle, this is calculating area, but we kept the function names are same. Okay, though it is calling from different classes because of the representation purpose. We have better examples. So let's see. Um, so here there is a overloading again, but here is a overriding. So I told there are two types: overloading and overriding. Overloading is a compile time happens, and overriding is a runtime. So here, if you notice that overloading, another example. In both cases, we are saying biggest. There are two methods of the biggest, but one collection we are sending all the numbers. In other collection, we are sending all the strings. So it has to find out the biggest of the from the number collection. It need to find out the biggest of the number. Whereas if it is a string, then it has to find out the biggest of the string. But what is common in this? The method name is common. So what is the main ultimate goal of this? Technically, whatever the business you do, whether I want to do a sum of 10 numbers or 5 numbers or 20 numbers, I still call it as a sum, right? So it's like in the calculator, whenever you do sum for number of n numbers, you always use the plus symbol. You cannot define a calculator like if you want to do sum of two numbers like 2 plus. Then if you want to do sum of 5 numbers means 5 plus, you cannot design such a calculator, right? It need to be generic. Same thing here. We wanted to achieve that generic term to do the, if it is the biggest or sum whatever, we need to use the generic term to achieve a particular outcome irrespective of the inputs. The inputs can be integers or strings or something else. Then what is the overriding? Overriding is nothing but it's like overwriting. Like if you have a if you write something using the paper, in the paper, if you write some sentence using pencil, you will use eraser to completely take it out and then write again, right? If you find something like not useful, if you don't like whatever you did, you can do that, isn't it? So similarly, there is a one concept here in the programming in OOPS concepts called overriding, which is nothing but overwriting, like erase and write. Or if there is a paragraph which I want to only keep some content and some content I want to replace, I can also do that. Or I can completely take out and and only, so I can completely take it out and only use some content. I can also do that. That is the advantage of that overriding. Okay. So the meaning of the overriding is completely erase and write, or keep some portion and and then extend some portion. We can also do that. So how do we achieve that? Technically, we declare one method and then one class and with the method, and another class with the same same method name. But here the difference is class A is declared like this, but class B is declared by inheriting class A. So in bracket, when you set a particular class name, that means you are inheriting that particular class. If you either you leave it blank or you leave it, you make it as object, that means you are not inheriting a class. With a minute you represent a class in brackets which belongs to another class, that's the inheritance. So let's see one more example in detail. So let's compare the inheritance and polymorphism, and I will see the examples of the polymorphism. So inheritance is all about what? Inheritance is a computer science is creating a class from an existing class. Polymorphism is a common interface for multiple forms. Okay. Inheritance is implemented in classes. Polymorphism is implemented in functions. Okay. So inheritance, basically you are copying basically one class into another class. Polymorphism is all about implementing multiple functions with the same name. Types of inheritance are single inheritance in which only one superclass is made, multiple inheritance which are there or many superclasses. Okay, so you can inherit that from one class or multiple classes. Here, two types of polymorphism. One is overloading and other one is overriding. Inheritance is used for reusability of the code, right? So meaning you in class A there is a method which is implemented for a particular like sum of two numbers. In class B, instead of implementing again sum of two numbers, I can inherit that from previous class, so that I don't need to duplicate my code. Okay, clear? Okay, so before we go to abstraction, let's practice this polymorphism. So I have example one here for the polymorphism, right? So let's use this example. So there is some bit of explanation here that I'm going to leave it now. So here, what we are doing, basically there is a animal object. As I told you, we can take one of the character and then try to simulate with the different. We define a particular category and then simulate the characteristics. Okay, so animal is the category. which has a common elements like a name and food, right? What kind of name or the name of the animal and what kind of food it is going to eat. So here we are going to represent. So this is the basic class, okay? And this class is inherited into here, and we are trying to represent that as a dog. So then, how do you do that? You are going to say there is a one function called fetch. Other one is show affection, right? So here we are this is the two different methods. Similarly, there is a cat. Okay, we are again doing two types of operations here. There is a one. Uh, so then we are also going to look through these different animals, which we can able to see that in a simulation process. So initially, animal is get created as a default that is going to be extended for a dog, right? So here we are going to say that so here we're going to say that how do you the first one here is got defined and we just defined all these things and then we are basically sending these values into first we send to dog, right? And then so then this got called, okay, and then next what happened, and then we sent to we represented the cat and this is going to be called, then we are going to represent the another cat, okay, then finally we are representing the dog. So that is why this you are going to basically call this in loops as well, or you can also call them one at a time. So when you do that, then automatically that particular thing will be represented. Let's say if you basically we call this one, if you call this one, then it will be different again. So this is the constant in all of them. You see that for dog and cat, we have the same name here. But these things are different. These methods are different. That's why we can't call it in a loop. Instead, you can directly call it separately where you want to see that, how these particular methods can represent. You can also do that as exercise. Let's get into another example here, polymorphism. This is a very small one. You can easily understand. So what is happening here? So basically, it can. There are two things here. One is calculating the length of the a string or length of a particular list. Okay, both can be done. And this is a small example anyway. So you can basically use one more concept we have is multiple inheritance. So how do you do the multiple inheritance? Let's look at this example. This is important. So the minute you think about multiple inheritance, generally you have, this is the class which is created as a standard, and then this is another class, class B inherited from class A. Class C is defined again. Now class D is inherited by class B and class C. So this is going to, this basically, um, technically if you pass one class name, it is going to be like this. If you pass more than one class name, then it is going to be like one of the particular class name comma the second class name. So this is how the two times you can inherit more than one class at a time into a particular class. So here we inherited B and C, right? B has this simple sentence and C has this implementation. Okay. So, but B is inherited by A. Yeah, what happens here now? Let's look at, we are creating instance of D, right? We did this. And so we are calling this method from A, but you are not, you did not inherit A. You inherited B, but why we got access to this one is because of A is inherited into B. That is how it is linked. So now you can also say that, you know, you can create as many as for example, I have this something called do this the C, uh, okay, that is also inherited by this, right? So you can create more methods into this, and then you can now what happens here? You will have access to all of the classes and all the methods because you have inherited all of them. So what is it? What is the use of that? You are not going to reuse this. Like you are not going to duplicate the code. Instead, you are going to once implement in any one class and can be used into other class. Okay, so we compared this one. We went to abstraction, right? So let's talk about abstraction, and then we'll close the class for today, and we'll give you the lessons to practice. So what is abstraction here? So technically, we have seen a class. Like I told you, class means, I was representing a class as a car, where that is, that this particular thing I was representing as a class, right? Meaning it is fully constructed, it is ready to use. Whereas if you go to abstraction, it is not, the abstraction meaning is halfway done, not fully constructed. It's like a semi-finished. Okay. So anything that is not completely done, it is a abstraction. Anything it is completely not done is an interface. Anything that is completely done is a class. Ready to use type is a class, meaning all the methods and properties are fully implemented. Whereas in abstraction, some methods or some of the properties they just declared, but not that logic is not written. Those comes into abstraction type. Let me see if there is a better example in this. Yeah. So let me pick a value here. So here first understand, like, we have a class called myABC class, and then we have a abstract method. Basically, generally when you set something, you are going to set, right? Here we did not, we are basically taking the value, but we did not define. You are not storing anything into the self dot value, right? So here imagine now I have created a class, my class, and I inherited my this particular class into my list, like my ABC class. So here I am implementing this particular set value. I did not implement here, it just declared, but implementation is now done in the class where I got inherited. So I'm saying that that particular input go to self dot value. Similarly, I have created one method called hello, right, and printing some values. So now, so I created my object of that particular class and the setting. Technically, what we have learned, when you set the value, it's supposed to be like self dot value equal to, it should be set here. But we did not do that in this main class. Instead, what we did, we have implemented that in the inherited class. So abstraction is all about, like, like you can implement that only on the child class. You cannot implement in the parent. So it is like agreement, like, the bond papers and all that are plain. That will be executed and written as per the deal or sale of the agreement based on the situation. Similarly, this is like, standard standard agreement for multiple implementations. Depends on whoever wants to do this particular process. They will be setting all the values on the setting all the implementation, not here. Okay. So a regular class means we do everything in the main parent class, but in the abstraction, we don't define any logic in this parent. Instead, we will be doing the, setting the logic in the inherited class. That is only the difference between the regular class and abstract class. So that's all for today. Do you have any doubts? If not, I will, give you those examples into your WhatsApp group. You can practice. So try to do that, all the practices as much as follows. Anyway, this is completely self-learning. All of them are here. So you can able to go through this and try to, remaining people, whoever is here, try to go here. And mainly the people who are into this not practiced, try to, come out from there. So go through all the videos, lessons, and challenges. And we are going to set some, MCQ exams into this. Then you need to go and practice the, take the exam. So it's better you clear those, and we'll give you more examples related to, OOPS concepts, and complete that, as much as by next session. Before next session, try to clear these examples, be familiar with that, and come out from this and stay, at least come to good and excellent. Okay. So one last thing that I want you to practice is, so there is another concept called exception handling, which is basically very common. Like, whenever you try to execute something, if something breaks, you need to understand, right? You need to print the values out. So you just practice one of the examples like this. Like, all you need to do is, you are going to say, before you attempt the logic, you will say try, colon, you write your logic. Then if something breaks in this logic during the runtime, the exception will be going to here. That is defined like this, like except colon, and you write your, all these things. When you say sys, sys dot exe underscore info, this is going to carry all the exception that is happened in the runtime. So when you say bracket 0, so this will be called. Got it? So you can, there is more elements, like 0 has something, one has something, you can print whatever the information you want. So try to practice this exception handling example as well. So most important, in order before stepping into data science, I want you to be familiar with list, tuple, and sets. Okay, so list, tuple, and set. So what is the list? So basically, you are going to define like an array. I told you, no, as array is represented in Python as a list is equivalent. So this is how we do that, and then this is how we declare. This is the one type. This is another type. Okay. If you want to make it empty, we are going to simply say that the name equal to begin and close bracket. How do we access the values from the list? I would say this is the list, right? I would say the numbers of 0 means it is going to print 11. Number of 5 means it is going to print, it starts with 0 to n minus 1. This is the output if you based on this. Okay. So how do you define the tuple? Same with that. Before that, you need to understand the difference between list, tuple, and set. List is basically immutable, meaning once you define in runtime, you can able to make adjustment. Tuple is similar, but during the runtime, you cannot disturb the values. You cannot delete or add, but the list can be done. Then what is the set? Set is basically it is not going to allow the duplicate values. Whereas in list, I can, if there is a 22, I can add 22 again. Okay. In tuple also, I can put all the duplicate numbers. Like I can have 11 2 times, 22 2 times. But only thing is, this can't be tuple will not allow you to manipulate during the runtime. List will basically allow you to store duplicate values or regular values and may allow you to manipulate during the runtime. Set is unique values, right? It is basically it won't support if there is any duplicate value. So it depends on the situation whether you want to use the set or tuple or list. That you need to decide. Okay. So in tuple, you basically the difference here is the list is created with square brackets, and the tuple is going to be created with a it's curly bracket. I mean, is a regular bracket. Okay. So otherwise, the storage is same, separated by comma, and then sets will be created using curly brackets. So square bracket, normal bracket, and then curly bracket. So sets will be using curly brackets. So you try to go familiar with these things and practice these examples. And most important, you practice OOPS concepts as well. Okay. So that's the end of the class for today. Thank you. And then you keep practicing.